Okay, this is a Cat 3 Elite race, and this time we have cameras for both Jonathan and Nate in this race. This is going to be Jonathan's camera. We're going to be mostly on him for a while. So, Pete, can you describe this course?
Yeah, it's flat, lots of long straights with some bends. You can pretty much pedal through everything except for 2 chicanes. There's a big left and a big right, and other than that, it's a really straightforward course.
And what we did here is Jonathan was actually just wanted to get a good workout for mountain biking, so we attacked the whole race, and I sat in the field, and at the end you give me a lead out, but we're still going to go over some aspects of the course.
You can already see we're going pretty hard. That's Jordan in front of me, and he said, I'm just going to go hard the first lap. He's a really good Nordic skier, so I figured, okay, and that works. I'll just follow in, and then I think Jordan blew up here, but it set the tone for the rest of the race, and exactly how I wanted it, which was let's keep it fast and hard and surgy.
Yeah, Jordan hung out with me in the back of the race for a long time after that.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things, since both of you guys were racing the same race, how much harder was your race than Nate's race?
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. So, I mean, if you look at the normalized power, I was at, and I guess weights too, I was weighing 147 during this race, 147 pounds, and I had a normalized power of 300 and an average of 266. Nate, you were weighing what and did
about
what?
190 and was 240 until the end when we picked it up. So
pretty crazy.
Yeah, real easy for a long time.
Shows the difference.
Shows the difference.
Okay, let's jump ahead to 15 minutes into the race.
Cool.
Here, John is going to come and Pete, you describe it.
Yeah, so when I was watching this video, John does a really good job of, as a marked rider, jumping across the brakes. When everybody's paying attention to you to see what you're going to do, it makes it much easier to set yourself up to bridge across to something rather than have everybody waiting for you to go. So as you see, John comes from nice far back. He's going fast when he crosses the front of the field, so nobody can really jump on. So now it's
also
all up,
guttered.
Yeah, and all up to him now. So there's 2 guys up the road. They're pretty far. It's a big gap. It doesn't quite look like it, but this is a long straight. So the only thing that John could have done is you can pick a side of the course or a portion of the course where you can make up more time in a shorter period or in a shorter distance. So I know John goes through corners quickly, so if he would have waited, but the problem is the race doesn't always allow you to do that when you want to.
That was also a crosswind section that he went through, so that's why he was pushed to the left, but he was kind of in the wind when he attacked. But I think it was pretty good because it was probably less likely that someone would be able to follow him. For sure.
You make a good point. If you attack and then you go straight into a section where you have a relative advantage, that just helps you extend that, right? And at this point, when I was bridging up to them, it was really starting to hurt. You could see like where my heart rate was and everything else on this one. It's pretty high, even when I attacked, which this is a good example. I did not feel like attacking and bridging, but because I just told myself I was willing to put it on the line, I did it. And I was completely blown here.
So the only thing I would have done here is you can start yelling. You'd say, hey, I'm a lone rider, solo bridge, whatever you can, wait up, I'm right here. And the problem is a lot of the time the breakaway doesn't know you're right behind them, and most people will ease up because a 3-person break has a much better chance of success than a 2-person break.
Yeah.
But they don't ease up, right?
No, and I saw the guy that was in the front. He was very strong and very, very strong. I think probably the strongest rider in the race. And I saw him. He didn't win, so then again, that was you, Nate. But I think what I noticed here was that he looked back and he was like, all right, it's game time. This guy's catching. And he probably saw me attacking, so he figured I'd just roll right up. But then he isn't looking back. So you can hear me coughing and spinning everything up. But I finally get on, and right when I get on, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on the camera, but he basically says, all right, let's go. And like right here, he's just jamming, and I am blown. I can't reattach. And I also noticed the guy in front of me, he's like working as hard as he can, and he's getting yo-yoed off too.
That was in a headwind section right there. And that rider is David Sweet. He's very, very strong. I've raced against him a few times now.
Yeah, so at this point I was kind of like, I tried to bridge up to them, but like you said, maybe if I would have yelled out, they would have kind of brought it back in. Because if I was in his draft right now, I could be resting and then contributing.
Exactly. And so that's mostly his fault. When someone bridges up, they just can't handle that acceleration again. Like, it's up to you to kind of guide them back into the breakaway. So I think you can yell out sooner. Depends on, I heard you yell ease up a couple times, but it was like just 10 seconds too late or 5 seconds too late, and you've already kind of been dealt a lot of damage. So
Right. He's still pulling. This is still really early in the race, right? They're not even halfway done. So you probably want that extra rider.
Yeah. You would think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And right here was a telling moment because you can see it's taken a while to move into position for that rider in front of me. And I could tell he was pretty cooked. The wattage wasn't quite as hard. And at that point, our speed had dropped. So I was like...
took a 4-second pull after the other guy took a half lap pull.
Exactly. So at that point, I'm like, okay, well, this guy's cooked. I'm going to move to the front and just try to keep things consistent. And hopefully the other guy takes note of where I'm at right now. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, and since you guys already had a pretty big gap, sometimes you have to pull through to get your rest, as crazy as it sounds. So if everybody else is just throttling it, roll through, do 10 seconds at threshold or slightly below threshold to give yourself a little break in a breakaway like this. But
right there, that hero pull does nobody any favors, including him.
Yep.
You know, if we could have stuck together, it would have been better.
Yeah, easy.
You said easy, yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems like this one's pretty doomed, right?
Yeah.
And it was doomed.
And that's what I figured at that point. I don't think the brake's going to stick.
So here's John was trying to make this race hard and did a good job. Hey, look, there's Nate.
Hey.
He kept doing these great attacks from the back. One of the things, since everybody was watching you, and this course just doesn't really break up like a lot of crit courses. It's just so long, and everybody can string out and kind of, as long as you're hanging onto the wheel in front of you, you'll never get dropped, pretty much. And so that's what everybody's doing, and especially in the rear cam, following this move as you come around these guys. You hit it pretty hard, and you can kind of see everybody strung out in front of you. Look, you can see a little gap. One of the things that I've noticed, you were doing like full lap pulls, like full lap efforts, and you were crushing people. The problem is that when you know that someone's on the front drilling it, all you have to do is hang on until it eases up, and then it's free. Then you're like, everything's okay again. So what you can do is, if you are the person on the front, you can ease up for 5 or 10 seconds and let everybody kind of take a deep breath and get out of their drops and put their hands on the handlebar again, and then go exactly as hard as you were going, and it like shuffles the field just a little bit, and people aren't paying attention, and then all of a sudden it like reignites your breakaway or the front of the field, and all of a sudden there's only 3 guys with you, or 5 guys or 8 guys, instead of the whole field stacked up behind you.
So instead of like going a full lap, you might put that in halfway through the lap, something like that.
Yep.
Cool. That's a good idea.
It's demoralizing.
And
yeah, that's it, right? Psychologically, it kind of beats you.
And everybody thinks, oh man, thank God he's done. And then he goes again, and that's what people are like, nope, I'm not doing that again. They remember exactly how hard it was, and they won't follow you the next time.
And that's the guy, remnant still from the break, I think. He was still up there, and this kind of reeled him in, I believe. Could be a different rider, but...
I think that's him. And then he also goes on a break later on.
Yep.
Very strong rider. He is stronger than me.
Very strong.
Okay, we're coming into the last lap, and we'll have Jonathan's camera first, and then we'll switch to my camera. My front camera died, so we only have rear from mine, but that's all you need to see.
This is look at that. This is the shake and bake time, right?
Yep. So we talked about it ahead of time that we wanted you to pull me into the start of the headwind position in first place, and then I was going to attack into the headwind to try to. Because it's tough for people to cover in headwind, isn't that right, Pete?
Yeah, it's so hard, and that 5 feet turns into a real gap compared to like everywhere else where 5 feet is nothing.
Yeah, because if someone tries to cover that move, they have to put out so much more effort, and then they're now gone from the sprint. And I attacked from about a minute out. So in this video, you can see I've just bridged. There's a breakaway starting in the last lap, so I bridged up to that, and then the whole group catches it.
But that's smart, you know, like you feel good, you've rested the whole race, you're not going to let 3 guys ruin your race in the last half a lap, but especially when you're fresh.
It was the right move to do, even though we talked about having that sort of lead out, that sort of thing, you know, it was definitely the right move to do.
And at least put me at the front of the race.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because, the flexibility, I think, is something that's super important.
I'm that tall rider with the black and red right there that Jonathan's going by me. So I see Jonathan come by, and I'm like, oh, he's doing it. He's here. So I got on his wheel, and I start yelling, go, go, go. Did you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, I did. And this is a point where I felt the race fatten up every time. If I wasn't driving the pace, it seemed like it fattened up. So knowing that, and knowing that it had a little hill afterward, I figured this is a good spot to kind of jam. I thought maybe we can get a gap in the corners as well. We actually caught these riders a little sooner than I thought we were going to. coming into this turn. And an interesting thing happened here. I was looking at shadows to try to see where Nate was because I couldn't really tell. And I felt like Nate got gapped here, which he did.
I took the corner bad.
And then in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know if Nate's blown or if he's not. You can see me look back. So I kind of feel like maybe I should ease up. But little did I know, Nate was fresh as a daisy. I could have kept going, and Nate would have just clawed right back on. And then maybe it would have been an even easier win for you, Nate. But so this is me dying a very painful death here, basically. This is absolutely everything I have at the end of a very hard race.
And this is the headwind section. There's still 3 riders up the road.
There goes Nate, and lights out for me.
So here let's go back and watch it from my camera now.
Cool.
Okay, so we're now on my camera, and you can see John's coming up, and he's about to pass me and take the start of the race. It looks like the guy behind me is already tired, and you can kind of luck out if you have someone on your wheel that's a little bit tired.
Oh, geez, you're really
right here too.
Look at that.
Well, you're hurting him, John, because right now
Yeah.
you're pulling it really hard, and we actually get a gap here. And that's what you allude to. It could have been easier for me if I would have taken this corner better, because if you watch this, they come back in the corner. And with you, if you didn't slow down, I could have gone a little bit harder because I still was okay. But look at this. So I really could have attacked now if I could have taken these corners well, because you want that gap. Is that right, Pete?
Yeah, you guys have already effectively sealed your head start for the sprint or for your attack.
Right.
But as they slowly crawl back through the corner, though.
See, then there's already gaps in the field that you created too, John.
Yeah.
And then up here, I'm yelling. What I want as a yell blocked you by, which I want you to do is just keep your line. That's what I meant of it, because I don't want you to try to swing off to the side or anything. I want people to have to go around you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're passing 2 people as you go around, so all 3 of you guys cause problems for everybody behind Nate.
Yeah.
And it causes just that little bit of indecision. And
right there, once you caught that guy, I think you only have 1 left. Is that right? Or do you have 2 riders?
I think I
up
have
the road?
two riders left. Yeah.
Kind of exciting not seeing the front.
Yeah.
So this is the last turn.
Yep. The long straightaway with the crosswind.
Kind of a crosshead almost at this point. It was stiff.
Just 1 rider. It's David Sweet, who's very strong. I caught him right before the line. Poor Sweet. He was out there a long time too.
He rode a very hard race.
Yeah. There he is. I think he still gets catch second. But just an example of going from a long distance in a headwind can be a good strategy.
And teamwork.
yeah, hard going into hard always does a good job.
True story. Nice job, Nate.
Nice job, Nate.
Thank you, Jonathan. My first Cat 3 race, and I won.
That's a lot of fun to race that way as a team.